It seems we sold our soul for a win in week 3, and it cost us dearly. Week 3 has concluded, and we were able to grab the dub over Nick, the editor. We are now 2-1 on the season. We beat Nick 153 to about 115. A very good week for the fan wagon. Almost everybody performed. Starting at quarterback now, this didn't end up mattering because we basically already had the win locked up by the time Monday Night Football came along. But Goff with a very pedestrian performance on Monday Night Football. Only 12 points, only threw 1 touchdown. The Lions were able to run the ball really well in this game. They didn't really need him. Either way, Goff has already been dropped onto the waiver wire. We've picked up a new quarterback to potentially play next week if Justin Fields can't go. Devon Achane and Jordan Mason were both great. Devon Achane, no touchdown this week, but 9 targets, 7 receptions. He's still the wide receiver 1 in Miami. Jordan Mason with a huge performance against the hapless Bengals. 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, Jordan Mason, obviously no receiving upside whatsoever, but with all of the first and second down work in this Vikings offense, he should be a start every week play. Nico Collins finally showing up for us. Now, it was one broken play, 50-yard touchdown where the DB just completely messed up his assignment. Without that big play, it's a much quieter day for Nico, but we take those. I was hoping for a bigger game from him outside of the big play, obviously, with the Jags' struggling defense. This Texans offense does not look good at all, but Nico is still the alpha there, the highest target earner, and he's going to be in my lineup every week for the rest of the year. Mike Evans unfortunately goes down with a hamstring injury. He didn't have a bad game. He caught a touchdown. Now, it's looking like he's not going to go on the IR. Like it's only going to be a 2 to 3 week thing, which would be huge for us. We do have the depth to cope until he comes back. But just like last year, when he did come back, he was great. Hopefully we get that again. Hunter Henry with a huge bounce back. I am so glad that I didn't pivot here. 29 points, 2 touchdowns on 8 receptions. Tight end is going to be up and down when you don't have one of the big guys. Now we only have 2 more weeks with no George Kittle. Hopefully Hunter Henry can carry us through with a few more big performances before Georgie comes back. Going over to my flex slots, Debo and Ricky. Debo not great with Mariota. He's going to have to be somebody who we're considering benching until Daniels is back. Ricky with a great game with Mac Jones. As soon as Juwan Jennings was ruled out, I switched Ricky for James Conner. We'll get to James Conner, obviously. But Ricky, 11 targets, 8 receptions for 117 yards. He is the one in that offense right now when they're missing so many guys. And it looks like Brock Purdy may be back this week, and so he gets a bump from that as well. Spencer Schrader was absolutely fine at kicker. Of course, Chase McLaughlin, who we dropped last week after a bunch of misses, dropped a 20-pointer. That's just how fantasy football works, right? And the Falcons defense losing 30-0 to the Carolina Panthers. Absolutely embarrassing performance. I have no idea what happened here, but the Falcons will definitely be dropped and we will be picking somebody else up. On the bench, Keenan Allen with another great game. We're going to need to be relying on him with Mike Evans out, as well as J.K. Dobbins. 11 carries. He has the majority of that backfield in Denver. It doesn't look like RJ Harvey has taken over at all yet. Now, I do suspect that to come in the future, but for right now, J.K. Dobbins is somebody we can absolutely plug in our lineup. And we're going to have to with James Conner going down to a season-ending injury. This is so unfortunate. I didn't even end up playing him this week. He was like going to be a rotation flex guy for me, but losing him, my 5th-round pick, to a season-ending injury, obviously it sucks. I've had terrible luck with injuries so far this year. George Kittle going down, Mike Evans and James Conner. That's my 3rd, 4th, and 5th-round pick that I've lost all to injury. Obviously, James Conner, the most severe of those 3. And it's going to be a next man up mentality. Obviously, we did draft very well, getting Keenan in the late rounds, getting Dobbins in the late rounds, Mason in the 8th. So we're still set up okay, even losing a few guys here. But obviously, it sucks to have your guys go down. Looking over at my opponent's team, there's really not much to report here. Nick's team just kind of didn't show up this week. Drake May was fine, but Chuba wasn't great. Brian Thomas was bad. Tyreek was fine. Brock Bowers didn't even hit 10 points. David Montgomery with 30 on Monday night, but it was too late by that point. This was really just pure and utter domination this week. Now, I really hope we can carry that into week 4. Before we get to that matchup, let's check out the waiver wire. Not much action on the waiver wire this week. Trey Tucker went for $25 to the dev team. We grabbed Jordan Love as our Jared Goff replacement. He is against the Dallas Cowboys this week, whose defense is terrible, and we'll be making a decision between him and Justin Fields based on Fields' ability to get through the concussion protocol. We also grabbed Torrey Horton for $5, a nice little stash. He's caught a few touchdowns. He looks good. He's playing more and more snaps every week. There's an opportunity for the number 2 target in that offense. Cooper Kupp hasn't looked great. JSN is obviously the alpha, but maybe Torrey Horton comes on a little bit these next few weeks. We also grabbed the San Francisco 49ers defense. They are playing the Jags this week, who look abysmal on offense. And other than that, it's just people picking up defenses, swapping out their backup running backs kind of thing. Not much to report on the waivers this week. Let's head over to our week 4 matchup. Now in week 4, not only are we going up against the creator of the Flock League, Mason Dodd himself, but he is also the only left undefeated team in the league. He is 3-0. Everybody else has at least 1 loss. So obviously that means that his team is very good. I do believe that it is beatable though. Looking at the quarterback battle, obviously he wins it. Josh Allen is going to be great. We have a decision here to make with Justin Fields versus Jordan Love. Now, Jordan Love playing the Dallas Cowboys, who do have an awful defense, but I'm kind of worried that they are just going to be able to run all over them and that the Cowboys offense won't be able to do a ton against the Packers defense. And so the game script we want for Jordan Love is a bit of a shootout. I'm worried the Packers are just going to be too good for the Cowboys here, and we're not going to get that. So at the moment, I am leaning to play Justin Fields if he makes it through concussion protocol. Obviously, if he doesn't, then Jordan Love will be out there. But if I am choosing between the two and they're both healthy, I think at the moment I'm going with Fields against Miami. At running back here, we currently have Jordan Mason and Devon Achane in our running back slots. Jordan Mason going up against the Steelers in that London or Dublin game. He should have another big week. The Steelers defense has not looked very good. I'm very excited to throw him out there. Mason has been talking on all of his streams about how he's afraid of Jordan Mason this week, and we're going to bring that fear to reality here. With Devon Achane Monday night against the Jets. He's in my lineup every week. Not much to say there. We also have J.K. Dobbins slotted in one of our flexes at the moment. And I will be playing him this week because he does have close to the full workload and they are going up against the Bengals, who Jordan Mason cooked last week. Bengals cannot defend the run. Broncos are very good at running the ball. J.K. Dobbins should be in line for a very good score here in week 4. Looking at what Mason has slotted currently. Saquon Barkley against the Buccaneers. Yikes. As well as Josh Jacobs against the Cowboys. I already talked about how I feel like the Packers are going to be able to run all over them. Hopefully this isn't like a 103 touchdown game from Josh Jacobs, but that is in the cards for sure. And he's flexing his running back 3 and running back 4, Tony Pollard and Travis Etienne. Now these guys did not look as good in week 3. The Titans are abysmal. The Jags are abysmal. And they don't have great matchups. Etienne against the Niners and Pollard against the Texans. I'm hoping his flex slots can stay pretty quiet this week. At wide receiver, we are starting Nico Collins, Keenan Allen, and Ricky Pearsall. At the moment, I have Debo on the bench. He could come in for Keenan or Ricky. I think I want to play Ricky with Purdy coming back. The Jags defense is really bad. I like that matchup. And Keenan's just scoring a touchdown every week. And he's playing against the Giants, who while they have a good front, the Chargers offense is cooking. Keenan seems to be currently ahead of Ladd in targets. QJ obviously gets the big play, but Keenan is a start every week name. I do have to consider Debo, right? Because Jaden Daniels could be back and he looked very good with Jaden Daniels against the Falcons, who let up 30 points to Bryce Young and the Panthers last week. So I have a decision to make here. Nico is obviously in my lineup, but between Keenan, Ricky, and Debo playing 2 of those, it's going to be a tough decision. Last week, we got our start-sit decision right, playing Ricky over James Conner. Obviously, Debo was not a good decision, but we hope that we can continue to make some good decisions that win us our matchups going forward here. For Mason, his wide receiver situation is questionable at best. He's starting DK Metcalf. Okay, fine, but against the Vikings defense, that should be tough. And T. Higgins against the Broncos, who have a very good defense. Jake Browning looks absolutely terrible. I am more than happy to go up against T. Higgins this week, or if he decides to put Jerry Jeudy or Stephon Diggs out there. I am not worried whatsoever. I do think Mason is primed to make a trade here to send maybe one of his running backs off for a wide receiver. He really needs help there. And at 3-0, he's in a position to make a move here. At tight end, we have a pretty even matchup. Hunter Henry against TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson got in the end zone last week after not looking great. And the matchup is pretty good for him against the Steelers. Hunter Henry against the Panthers. Obviously, they shut out the Falcons last week, but I think that was more of a Falcons problem than a Panthers being good. Again, hopefully he scores a touchdown, hopefully 5 or more catches. I don't think Hunter Henry is an amazing tight end. I think he's going to be a guy who sometimes he scores 30 maybe twice a year, but also he's going to put up duds like he did in week 2. We don't need to talk about the kickers. Defenses, obviously I have the 49ers against Jacksonville. Mason currently has the Seahawks against Arizona. Kyler hasn't looked that good and the Seahawks have looked good, but I don't think it's an incredible matchup. I think he just didn't want to bother with the waiver wire this week, so he just kept the team that he had. But that's not a defense matchup that scares me at all. I'm currently projected to win by about 7 points, but I mean, Mason has to be the favorite here at 3-0. Me just being a fan, he's only played creators so far. I think I'm just playing with house money here. If we could go to 3-1, take down the self-proclaimed king of the league, that would be absolutely huge. Thank you guys so much for riding with me. Let's get the dub this week. Let's take down Mason Dodd. And I wish all of you very good luck this weekend.